entertainer, and I'm Vegh. Today's episode is going to be really exciting. We're talking about 10 things to think about when buying a bar stool. Consideration number 1, definitely one of the most important things to think about with bar stools is height. You hear a lot of different heights out there, counter, bar, whatever. Let me give you the facts straight. Here's what we do. This is a counter height. You're going to be at about 24 to 26 inches to the top of the seat. When you move up, the next height is going to be approximately 30 inches to the top of the seat. And lastly, and the most custom size, is going to be a 34-inch height seat. Let me give you a little explanation why this is. When you're at home, measure from the floor to the bottom of your counter, so you can actually know what that measurement is, and then minus 10 to 12 inches is kind of the rule of thumb, and that's the size of bar stool you need. Sounds simple, but it's something most people don't think to do before they go out and shop at stores. Another thing to consider is if you really want to do arms, you want to measure what that arm height is from the floor to the top of the arm. And then you'll have the perfect height bar stool. Number 2, do you want to consider swivel or stationary? You've probably already thought about this, I understand, but have you thought about if you want swivel, what kind of swivel you'd like? Here's what I'm getting at. There are 2 options. One is called a memory swivel, where it goes back right into the position where you originally put it. It's pretty nice for neat freaks like me. But you may want to consider what they call a full swivel. Let me tell you why. This one allows people to rotate around, and you don't actually have to hold it with your legs on the bottom here. It'll just let you stop wherever you like. This is going to be the option you want if you're putting a bar stool, say, against a kitchen counter, where behind you is a great room, and on occasion your friends might sit at the counter to watch that football game in the great room. Hope that makes sense. Number 3, think about if you want arms or no arms. The reason you want to consider this is if you have, for example, a glass table and you're going to put arms by it, you might have damage. So I would probably recommend no arms for that scenario. But if you have a really strong granite or something of that nature, you can definitely consider arms. It's really comfortable, like this really beautiful chair. You know, when you're looking at arms too, something I want to point out is arms that come out on the sides like this is really conducive to how a man likes to sit. So you might want to think about that instead of arms that are straight across. But let's think about this. If you don't want to do arms because you are a clutter-free person and you like kind of clean lines, think about a bar stool that has a rounded back. See what I mean? If I sit in this stool and you put your arms up, it almost feels like you have arms on the bar stool, but you don't have to worry about it banging against your counter as you swivel around, or as your friends or kids swivel around. Lastly, kind of the most sleek contemporary look is a bar stool that has absolutely no arms and no curve to the back. This I would probably argue is more conducive to a contemporary kind of sleek design, not very traditional at all, but still, check it out, sit in it, and make sure it's comfortable for you. Number 4, consider the weight of a bar stool. Do yourself a favor and just pick it up and see what it feels like. If it's not very heavy, then most likely it's not the best quality of bar stool and probably won't last you very long. Number 5, let's talk about budget. I know you don't want to hear the news, I have to say, but we all know the old adage, you get what you pay for. You'll see bar stools out there advertised like crazy for say $50 to $100. You know that, I know that, but you might want to ask yourself, why are they so inexpensive? And you may want to ask yourself, when am I going to need to replace those stools? In other words, set a budget for about $250 to $500. That will ensure you a great quality bar stool from a reputable manufacturer. Number 6, be prepared to design. What I mean by that is consider the context of where you're putting the bar stool. What fabrics and what selections have you already made? Like wood samples, for example, can have a major impact on how your bar stool will look. So bring all of these items in, or at least consider them when shopping online. Another little rule of advice is to definitely make sure that you have your paint sample with you so that it complements the fabric. For example, we did this for another friend of mine, picked out some really pretty bar stools, but then they showed me the most exciting part. This is their couch in a totally different room, but one that's adjacent to their kitchen. So once we determined this diamond pattern was something they liked, then it was obvious this was also the perfect fit for their bar stool. Number 7, we need to talk about how many bar stools can you fit. There's a generic rule of thumb, which is 22 to say 25 inches per bar stool. But the reality is this, it's going to fluctuate a little bit based on which bar stool you want and what the width of that bar stool is. So here's my recommendation. If you're in the planning stages, plan your bar around the bar stools that you want and how many you'd like for them to accommodate. Number 8, consider the options of wood versus metal bar stools. So many people think that only wood stools are really beautiful and more traditional looking, but you'd be surprised how beautiful metal stools are today, and many of them actually integrate a little piece of wood. So if you want that traditional look, you can get it with metal or wood. Alright, we're up to number 9. Have you thought about what kind of finish you'd like to see on your seat? Have you thought about how many options you have? We have some great fabrics, leathers, vinyls, and even some microfibers. You know, when you think about this stuff, the problem is you may not have thought about it in the planning stages. Too bad we can't go backwards in time. But check it out. We've got all these beautiful colors, really cool looks, nice feels. But some advice I have for you is this. If you want to add texture to your room, definitely consider a fabric. Most good solid retailers out there will offer you some kind of a fabric protection, so you don't need to worry about all those little spills. Another thought might be to do a leather or a vinyl that looks like a leather, because that's really easy to wipe up. Regardless, what I would recommend is when you're looking at this stuff, definitely have all of your items ready to go. Your countertop, your cabinets, maybe even window treatment pieces, all with you so you can make the right decision. Number 10, I saved the best for last, and if there's one thing you take away from all these tips, it better be this one. Although most bar stools are always going to be displayed from the front side, do yourself a favor and just flip it around, because this is what you're going to see, the back. So hopefully you've enjoyed watching these 10 tips. I know it can be very confusing in this sea of bar stools, but the good thing is you now know what to look for to find that perfect bar stool. Thanks for watching The Home Entertainer. I'm Kathy Vegh.